India blends ancient wisdom with rapid modern life, a place where centuries-old ideas still shape everyday moments. In this video, we reveal 10 bite-sized facts that uncover surprising angles about the country. From the birth of Zero to the world's longest railway platform in Gorakhpur, from a cost-efficient space program that reached Mars to one of the largest film industries on the globe, India offers more than you might expect. These facts are easy to understand and accessible to a wide audience, designed to broaden how you see this vast nation. Ready to see what makes India so endlessly fascinating? Let's dive in. First fact: India is the world's largest democracy with over 1.4 billion people. India's democracy spans a vast and diverse landscape of more than 1.4 billion people, making it the world's largest democracy and a living example of governance through elected representation. Different languages, cultures, and regions share a single constitutional frame. Elections are held across the country with candidates from many parties competing for power at the national, state, and local levels. This process shapes laws, budgets, and public services that touch daily life. A constitutional framework supports this system. The Election Commission runs elections to keep them fair. Universal adult suffrage means every citizen aged 18 and over has a vote. That principle fuels a broad spectrum of political voices and electoral participation across communities. In practice, the democracy is active at many levels, from national policy debates to local village councils and urban wards. People participate not only by voting, but also through civic groups. Even in a country with deep diversity, peaceful power shifts through elections demonstrate a long-standing commitment to democratic norms. Regional parties focus on local needs as well as national interests. Technological and administrative systems support the democratic process, including electronic voting machines and robust voter rolls. Officials work to ensure transparency. Media, civil society, and independent institutions monitor elections, educate voters, and report issues that arise during campaigns. This keeps the system responsive to a large, varied population. Second fact: India has more than 22 official languages and over 1,600 spoken dialects. India has more than 22 official languages and over 1,600 spoken dialects. This vast linguistic setup shapes daily life in tangible ways. The 22 official languages are designated for formal use in government, education, and media across different regions, while the many dialects reflect local history and community identity. People often switch between languages depending on place, audience, or purpose, creating a colorful tapestry of speech in markets, schools, and neighborhoods. Central government work is typically conducted in Hindi and English, while states choose their own languages for official tasks. Road signs and public announcements may be published in several languages. School materials follow this practice so communities can understand them. Media for nationwide audiences like TV and newspapers often offer content in multiple languages, expanding access. Many Indians grow up hearing more than one language at home or at school, making multilingual skills common. Languages also contain many regional varieties called dialects, which can change pronunciation, word choice, and rhythm. For Hindi speakers, dialects such as Braj or Awadhi yield distinctive expressions. Bengali speakers encounter variations across Kolkata, rural areas, and other districts. Tamil, Marathi, and other widely spoken languages likewise have regional flavors when people travel. They add character. These differences are not about right or wrong. They're simply different ways of using language in different places. All this diversity supports a rich literary and cultural scene, with poetry, stories, songs, and cinema produced in many languages. People often swap phrases with a smile. It also creates practical opportunities in education, translation, and technology, as software and services learn to support dozens of Indian languages. The multilingual environment encourages people to learn new languages, sometimes from a very young age, and it helps connect communities across vast distances. For travelers and learners, discovering a local language can open doors to understanding, humor, and everyday kindness in India. Third fact, the concept of zero was invented in ancient India. Zero began in ancient Indian mathematics as a practical device to mark the absence of a value in numbers place, and it soon became something more. It was not just a gap, it was a symbol with meaning. Early Indian scribes used a dot and later a small circle to show an empty place, a choice that made long calculations clearer. This idea traveled beyond borders. Beyond a placeholder, Indian thinkers treated zero as a number in its own right, capable of being added, subtracted, and involved in multiplication. Brahmagupta is a key name here. In his work, he defined rules for arithmetic with zero, noting that adding zero leaves a number unchanged, subtracting zero gives the original number, and multiplying by zero yields zero. He also stated that division by zero is not defined. The concept did not stay locked in one region. It spread through scholars, markets, and translators, reaching the Arabic world and then Europe over time. The symbol itself evolved into the numeral we recognize as zero. Adoption of zero as a placeholder and as a number unlocked full place value decimal notation, letting people write huge numbers with compact symbols. This change made advances in science and commerce possible. Today, zero underpins almost every practical tool, from digital clocks to calculators to the way computers store data in binary. It is a reminder of a simple idea that became a foundation for complex math. What began as a quiet symbol for nothing grew into a powerful concept that enables measurements, engineering, astronomy, and everyday counting. And it all traces back to careful thinking in ancient India. Fourth fact, India produces more movies each year than any other country. India produces more movies than any other country each year, a bold reflection of a sprawling, multi-language film ecosystem. The output spans many languages beyond Hindi, including Tamil, Telugu, Malayalam, Kannada, Bengali, Marathi, Punjabi, and more, creating a lively mosaic of storytelling. This scale means that a film could be a regional hit in one state and a nationwide phenomenon in another, often with its own star system, music, and fan culture. Several factors drive this phenomenon. A large pool of talent across acting, directing, and technical crafts supports rapid production cycles. Independent producers and family-run studios often work alongside big studios, ensuring a continuous flow of new titles. The industry is deeply networked with cinemas, regional distribution channels, and a vibrant screening and festival scene that keeps many projects moving from idea to screen. These dynamics enable films to be produced in multiple languages close to simultaneously. Films are crafted not only for big cities, but for varied audiences everywhere, and the distribution model reaches beyond traditional theaters. Television, streaming services, and now digital platforms have expanded the market, letting a film reach fans across states and even internationally. Music is integral to Indian cinema, with songs sometimes driving a film's popularity and longevity. The result is a dynamic cycle where a movie can spark conversations, launch new talent, and contribute to a broader entertainment economy. On the global stage, Indian cinema has drawn attention for its diversity and energy. Indian content is regularly acquired by streaming services and shown at international festivals, opening doors for non-Hindi productions. Regional films gain emphasis for unique styles, stories, and cultural specificity, yet they often share universal themes that resonate widely. The sheer variety keeps audiences curious and makes the industry a constant source of new ideas and collaboration opportunities. Fifth fact, the Taj Mahal changes color depending on the time of day. The Taj Mahal often looks different as the day unfolds. The shimmering white marble interacts with light in ways that make the monument appear to change color. Made from Makrana marble, its surface reflects sun, sky, and shadow, and the angle of the light matters. At dawn, the stone can blush with soft pink or peach as the heat of night fades away. During bright midday sun, the whiteness becomes more uniform and bright, sometimes with a cooler tone. In hazy weather, pollution, or high humidity, the color can seem duller or grayer, and the fine details soften. Photographers note that the effect is strongest when the sky is clear and the air feels clean. As evening approaches, the setting sun casts warm orange and gold tones over the marble. Some visitors describe a coppery glow that makes the domes resemble a piece of warm metal. The effect is amplified by the river Yamuna and the surrounding gardens, which reflect and refract light back onto the stone. At night, artificial lighting can also alter how colors are perceived, giving the surface a pale, almost silver tint under certain lamps. The changing color is not a literal pigment shift. It is a perceptual result of light, atmosphere, and the stone's translucency. For many people, this makes photography interesting and invites another look at a familiar surface. Sixth fact: India has one of the oldest civilizations in the world, dating back over 50 years. Civilization in the Indian subcontinent dates back more than 5,000 years, yielding early cities that show remarkable planning and sophistication. The Indus Valley Civilization built major urban centers such as Harappa and Mohenjo-daro with grid-like streets, standardized brick sizes, and sophisticated drainage systems. These features reveal organized urban life. Artifacts from these sites include seals, pottery, and metal objects that point to coordinated administration and widespread craft traditions. Public baths and granaries indicate public works. Across the same region, investments in craft and trade created a vibrant economy that bound distant towns together. Standardized measures helped merchants compare goods. The spread of similar pottery styles and seal motifs across settlements suggests a shared culture of exchange. Some sites show planned defenses and public spaces. The urban layout and water management demonstrate a practical approach to city life that endured in various forms for centuries. Long-distance connections reached beyond rivers to neighboring regions and coastal zones, linking the subcontinent to distant civilizations. Archaeologists have found artifacts like beads and metals that traveled along these networks. The Indus script, found on seals and pottery, hints at administration and record-keeping even though it has not been cracked. This undeciphered script leaves parts of daily life opaque, but the overall system of writing is clear. These trade and administrative lines helped lay a foundation for later cultural developments in the area. Over time, the legacy of these early centers influenced later cultures and urban traditions. Modern researchers continue to uncover remains that illuminate daily routines, diets, and technical skills from that era. The story is one of complexity built over many generations. Because these early cities were sophisticated in planning and production, they set a benchmark for what organized communities could achieve. Seventh fact: chess was invented in India and was originally called Chaturanga. Chess traces its roots to ancient India, where a game called Chaturanga shaped the board and the pieces. Chaturanga translates to 4 divisions of the army, and the game was designed to mirror battlefield strategy. Players used 4 kinds of pieces to represent different arms of the army: infantry, cavalry, elephants, and chariots, and the setup was meant to reward careful planning and foresight. The aim was to threaten the opponent's king and test the player's ability to foresee several moves ahead. Across centuries and through trade routes, the game traveled from India to Persia and beyond, where it took on new names and rules. In its Indian form, the pieces carried names that reflected their battlefield roles, and their movements matched the strategic ideas of that era. In Persia, the game became Shatranj, and in Shatranj, the queen and other pieces carried different powers than they do today. As it moved into Europe, regions refined the rules, eventually giving the queen more freedom and the game its modern shape. Scholars trace how the chariot piece turned into the rook, the elephant into the bishop, and the counselor into the queen, while the horse remained the knight. Today, the Indian origin of chess is celebrated in museums and in stories about the game's spread. The journey from Chaturanga to modern chess shows how a regional pastime evolved into a global game enjoyed by players of all ages. Understanding this origin helps people see chess as a bridge between culture, math, and strategy rather than just a pastime. Eighth fact: India is the largest producer of milk in the world. India is the largest producer of milk in the world, a fact that reflects a vast and diverse dairy landscape spanning millions of smallholders, cooperatives, and towns. Many households keep dairy animals. Milk from these farms is gathered by village-based cooperatives, then processed and distributed through a network that links farmers to urban markets and city dairies. The system supports both farmers and consumers. Milk is a daily staple in homes and street stalls, used in tea and coffee and in cooking and desserts. Popular products include yogurt, paneer, ghee, and sweets. Dairy products are produced in formats ranging from fresh liquid milk to shelf-stable cartons and specialized dairy items that travel long distances. The sector provides steady income to millions of rural families by giving a consistent market for milk and enabling predictable earnings, even when other crops are changing. Dairy work also creates jobs in collection, processing, and supply chains. Women and men participate as milk traders, form cooperatives, and manage small processing units that add value locally. Challenges include keeping milk fresh in hot climates, raising animal welfare standards, and ensuring fair prices for farmers while meeting rising urban demand. Investments in cold chains, modern packaging, and quality control are helping. Continued emphasis on efficient breeding, fodder production, and digital record keeping can strengthen the sector without losing the community-based nature that underpins it. The result is a dairy system that feeds people and sustains livelihoods. Ninth fact: the Kumbh Mela is the largest religious gathering on Earth, visible from space. The Kumbh Mela is widely described as the largest religious gathering on Earth, drawing crowds that line the river for many miles and fill vast camping areas nearby. There is a popular claim that the spectacle can be seen from space. In practice, space agencies and experts say it is not visible to the naked eye from orbit. The idea persists because the event creates a remarkable splash of color, movement, and light that many people associate with an otherworldly scale. What makes the claim feel plausible is the sheer density of participants and the long, braided layouts of bathing ghats, tents, and vendor stalls along the riverbank. Billions of saffron robes, banners, and flags create a striking visual mosaic when viewed from a distance, especially in clear weather and from high viewpoints. Yet the reality is that satellites and astronauts operate with different imaging tools and resolutions, so the human-packed riverfront rarely appears as a single, easily recognizable shape from space. Still, images taken from high altitude can convey the crowded atmosphere and the vast footprint of the gathering. The event unfolds as a temporary, bustling city built along the river. Temporary camps, medical tents, food stalls, and sanitation facilities spring up to support millions of visitors. Pilgrims come to perform ritual baths, offer prayers, and participate in days of collective activity that include processions, music, and communal meals. Roads, ghats, and open spaces are adapted to manage crowds and ensure safety, while volunteers and organizers coordinate transport, directions, and crowd flow. The scale is extraordinary, and the logistical coordination behind the scenes is equally impressive, with logistics teams, security personnel, and local communities working together. Even though the space view claim is a talking point for many, the most remarkable aspect is the human experience itself. People travel from far and wide, sometimes for days, to take part in a shared ritual that blends devotion, tradition, and community. The spectacle is about more than numbers. It's about how societies plan for enormous participation, how cultural practices endure, and how a single location can become a global conversation about faith and togetherness. The myth about visibility from space adds a layer of intrigue. But the real story is the scale of human connection and the intricate planning that makes such an event possible. 10th fact: India has a space program that successfully reached Mars on its first attempt. India's Mars orbiter mission reached Mars on its first attempt, marking a historic milestone for the nation's space program. The mission, commonly called Mangalyaan, proved that a compact, cost-conscious spacecraft could perform deep space exploration successfully. It demonstrated an all-Indian effort that combined careful engineering, frugal budgeting, and disciplined project management. The orbiter rode a launch vehicle into space and followed a trajectory designed to reach Mars with minimal payload and high reliability. The result was a successful insertion into Martian orbit, delivering data for years to come. Inside the small spacecraft were a handful of instruments aimed at studying the atmosphere, surface, and near-space environment. Notable science gear included the Mars Color Camera, which captured high-quality images of the planet's terrain and dust storms. The methane sensor from Mars searched for methane in the Martian atmosphere, a potential clue to geological or even biological processes. The Mars Exospheric Neutral Composition Analyzer measured constituents of the upper atmosphere, helping scientists understand Mars' exosphere. 2 additional compact instruments supported atmospheric and surface research, keeping the payload lightweight and efficient. The mission design leaned on proven components and a modular bus to maximize reliability while keeping costs down. Cost and design choices drew attention worldwide. It is widely cited as one of the most cost-effective interplanetary missions, showing ambitious science can be done without extravagant budgets. The team prioritized simplicity, cautious engineering, and the reuse of reliable hardware from earlier missions. International collaborations in data processing and outreach broadened the impact, even as the project remained an all-Indian effort in development and operations. The mission also stimulated a growing ecosystem in India's space industry and academia, igniting interest among students and engineers. Beyond the science, the mission reshaped conversations about what a developing space program could achieve. It reinforced ISRO's reputation as a capable partner for global space exploration and demonstrated a new model of frugal innovation. Data from the orbiter have fed long-term Mars science, complementing results from larger, more expensive probes. Its legacy continues in education programs, mission planning, and a culture that values practical engineering, efficient systems, and careful budgeting. The story inspires future projects that aim high while being mindful of cost and resources. Today, we wrapped up 10 interesting facts about India, and the big takeaway is how a country can feel ancient and modern at the same time. We touched on India's rich cultural tapestry, its incredible linguistic and geographic diversity, and its long history of curiosity and innovation, from yoga and chess origins to breakthroughs in space and science. We also glimpsed everyday life across cities and villages, delicious regional flavors, and India's vibrant film and music scenes that reach audiences around the world. If you watched with curiosity, first I'd love to hear which fact surprised you the most or which part of India you'd like to learn more about. Drop a comment below and share your thoughts or questions. If you enjoyed this quick tour, please like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you don't miss future videos. First, I'm already planning more content, like deeper looks at Indian festivals, regional cuisines, and stories from famous places across the country. Thanks for watching, and first I'll see you in the next one.